Say farewell to Microsoft's control panel, an MRI for AI models, and how a botched software implementation can threaten a successful company. And we're not talking about CrowdStrike. All this and more on the I Know What You're Thinking edition of #Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. Microsoft has officially confirmed the long-suspected retirement of the Windows Control Panel. This iconic feature, which has been part of Windows since version 1.0, is being phased out in favor of a new Settings app. The Control Panel has been a staple for Windows users and administrators, offering a centralized location to adjust system settings and access to third-party configuration controls. However, Microsoft is now encouraging users to transition to the Settings app, which first appeared in Windows 8 and has seen significant improvements in Windows 10 and Windows 11. The Settings app offers a more modern, touch-friendly design that aligns with Microsoft's current design philosophy. However, it's worth noting that not all control panel functions have been migrated to the Settings app yet. Microsoft even says that the control panel is in the process of being deprecated. The company adds, while the control panel still exists for compatibility reasons and to provide access to some settings that have not yet migrated, you are encouraged to use the Settings app wherever possible. For IT professionals and power users who rely on the control panel for specific tasks, this news signals the need to start planning for the transition. While Microsoft hasn't provided a specific timeline for the control panel's complete removal, as the saying goes, the end is near. In a development that we can only describe as being at the intersection of technology and geopolitics, Russian authorities have seized over $100 million from Google, which critics claim they will use to develop propaganda in support of their war against Ukraine. Court documents reveal that in 2022, Russian bailiffs appropriated funds from Google's Russian bank accounts, leading to the bankruptcy of the tech giant's entity in that country. The seized funds were then distributed to Russian TV channels, including the state-owned RT and Tsargrad, a propaganda service. Konstantin Malofeev, owner of Tsargrad TV and known as the Orthodox oligarch, has been sanctioned by the United States for supporting Russia's 2014 invasion of Ukraine. Tsargrad openly stated it would use the funds to support the Kremlin's war efforts in Ukraine. Google has now filed lawsuits against RT, Tsargrad TV, and another broadcaster in the US and English courts, seeking to block these channels from pursuing its assets in other countries. Google stated in court documents the bailiffs seized more than $100 million of Google Russia's assets, even though the amount purportedly due under the judgment at the time was less than $12.5 million. This is another example of complex challenges tech companies face when operating in other regimes, especially during times of international conflict. It also underscores the Russian government's attempt to control information to fund its war propaganda using seized assets from international corporations. For a few years now, Sonos has been the choice of audiophiles with its high-quality speaker design and its trademark use of wireless internet and not Bluetooth for what many argue is a superior sound quality and reliability. That company is now grappling with a significant crisis following a botched rollout of its newest app. This situation, named the app-ocalypse by critics, has exposed deep-seated leadership issues within the company. The new app, intended as an upgrade, has instead caused widespread frustration amongst Sonos' 15.3 million household customer base. Users report basic functionality failures, connection errors, and loss of essential features. And these issues have persisted for months, calling into question the company's commitment to quality of user experience. CEO Patrick Spence has acknowledged the problems in late July, stating, "We recognize that the recent app update has fallen short of our users' expectations." However, this response came months after the initial release, highlighting a concerning delay in addressing customer concerns. One particularly vocal critic, writing in Forbes, who described himself as a loyal customer of many years, ascribes the failures as a rush to market without proper quality control. Now, where have we heard that before? The crisis has had internal repercussions as well. Sonos recently laid off over 100 employees, representing 7% of its workforce. This move suggests that the company rank and file might be bearing the brunt of the leadership missteps. For a company that has invested $1.2 billion in research and development over the past 5 years, this failure raises serious questions about Sonos' ability to execute its vision effectively. This is particularly damaging given Sonos' premium brand positioning and its customers' high expectations. Looking forward, Sonos faces a critical juncture. The company must not only fix the immediate technical issues and address the underlying leadership and quality control problems that led to the disaster, but they also have to somehow convince their customers that the premium they're paying for these products is still worth it. For a number of years now, we've constantly heard of the virtue of updating software rapidly. But has that really worked? Is it time to relook at quality and maybe slow but steady wins the race? I have a Sonos system myself and I love the speakers. I hate software. And I have other key applications that I use where at least once a month I'm Googling to find out if there's a possible replacement. Drop me a note if you feel the same way. Researchers are making significant strides in understanding the inner workings of generative AI models. These models are now so big and so complex that they can't be evaluated in a classical sense. So while researchers know the overall theory of how they work, the actual process by which they answer a particular question or problem is almost impossible to understand. For want of a better term, they're a black box. And as these models get more and more intelligent, researchers are observing what can only be called emergent behavior. For instance, a model that hasn't been trained to do something somehow starts exhibiting a new ability. Some researchers claim to have observed, for instance, that over time, a generative model can start to understand what is humorous and what isn't. People using the models have noted that they change in how they respond from day to day and week to week. Marissa Connor, a machine learning researcher at Carnegie Mellon University, says, "We can't base our entire understanding of large language models on their inputs and outputs alone. If you're relying on AI models to work in high-impact situations, like diagnosing medical conditions, it's going to be important to understand why they have a specific output." And this presents some real challenges, especially as these models are increasingly gaining the ability to take direct actions powering AI agents, or where they're used in critical situations such as safety and medical diagnosis. So researchers are looking at new ways to understand the complexity of AI. One of these involves examining the combination of artificial neurons or features activated in the AI model's neural network. It sounds a little bit like an MRI-type analysis of human brains. Others have looked at it as more akin to mapping the human genome. And it's leading to some interesting developments. Companies like Anthropic and OpenAI have mapped these features, identifying concepts such as inner conflict or human imperfection within their models. Google's DeepMind has taken a step further with GemmaScope, a tool that analyzes all layers of their Gemma model, covering 30 million features. This comprehensive approach aims to provide a more complete picture of the model's decision-making process. However, challenges remain. Peter Lee, president of Microsoft Research, draws a parallel between AI research and other scientific fields. We know with increasing precision some of the very basic mechanisms, and then on the other end, we are getting more and more experience actually using AI systems. But there's still a gap in understanding how these models develop complex capabilities. Whether or not these models ever achieve human-like intelligence, we do know that they exhibit a high degree of at least machine intelligence and capability. Sam Altman, head of OpenAI, has noted that while the initial AI models had the equivalent of the intelligence of a grade school child, within the very near future, and that could have already been achieved, they will have the intelligence of a PhD graduate. Understanding how they think and reason will be more and more important. And that's our show for today. You can find our show notes at our news site, technewsday.com or .ca, take your pick. You can reach me at editorial@technewsday.ca. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a marvelous Monday.